I am Ba Elhek, a BJP candidate from 14 Pyrtuh constituency.
My name is Roger Bedi A. Sangma, official candidate of 57 Dalu constituency.
My name is Kyrsoibor Pyrtuh. I'm contesting from the North 17 North Shillong constituency.
We want to bring change. This is the first time in the history of BJP in Meghalaya we are contesting in 60 seats. This 60 seats, we are going to be a BJP-led government in Meghalaya this time. We have got all the blessing from the national leader of BJP, particularly the blessing of the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji. Our aim and objective is very clear. Number one is to uphold the law and bring peace and harmony to all the citizens of the state of Meghalaya. Number two is a development. Our Honorable Prime Minister had been launching so many programs which is to develop the Meghalaya and also our country.
Actually, during my college time, since my college days, I'm always interested in politics and always had a close watch the policy of the government and always wanted to serve the people of our state and our nation as a whole. So which inspires me to serve the people for the betterment of the society. So being a young candidate, I always wanted to contribute whatever I can experience in the national capital or the political capital of India. So I'm here today as a Congress candidate.
Let me answer directly in a very different way. What I'm doing now, even this electoral challenge that I'm entering, is a continuation of my work. Of course, there are two aspects in my pastoral ministry. One is the spiritual aspect, and one important aspect which we should not forget in the pastoral ministry also is the social dimension of the church. So now what I'm doing is just a continuation of what I've been doing for the past 2 decades. Even while in the church as a pastor, people know me that I also involve or engage myself with rights-based movement in Shillong and in the entire state. I was part of the RTI movement at a later stage, of course, and then I was also part of the anti-corruption campaign, and we were instrumental, in pushing for the strong Lokayukta Act in the state. Meghalaya had the strong Lokayukta, which is the anti-corruption law in the state. And also there are various rights-based movements with the workers of the state, especially the unorganized workers like the street vendors and hawkers of Meghalaya. And also I'm still a part of the Workers' Power Union of Meghalaya. So these are my work which now I'm going to continue.
The main visions if you ask me about my visions for the state to grow, is first we have to bring peace. Peace is the wheel of bringing the change in the state of Meghalaya. Without peace, we cannot bring peace. Without peace, we cannot bring change in any state, particularly in Meghalaya. If you really want to bring change, you want to bring development, you want to bring the youth's opportunities of the youth, we have to bring first the peace in the state of Meghalaya is the main objective of the BJP today. I'm telling you today, if you see about the frustrated youths, many of them has been going out of track. They have bring so much problems in the society. They have brought this problem in the family. They have problem also to their self. We don't want this to happen in our state today. We want our state to grow. We want to see our state to grow. Our young generation, they take the responsibility. How to grow the state of Meghalaya.
My vision for the state is corruption-free government and corruption-free state. Because many people think that only the politicians and the bureaucrats and the top officers are corrupted. But when we see the way we are choosing the leader, the way we are electing the leader during election time, I feel that even the general public need to realize that they should not indulge in bribing. They should not indulge in taking money during election times. So the corruption starts from the grassroots level itself. So we need to defeat this. So my vision for the state is a corruption-free state. Once the corruption is over or end, so we can have a new Meghalaya. We can have a new state in terms of education, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of sports, in various fields. So if people choose the right candidate, if people elect the potential leader and the statesmen, then we have a very fair chance to improve in every sector. So one could be in tourism sector, we could be top in the tourism sector, and Meghalaya and especially Shillong could be the educational hub of northeastern states, northeastern India, not only of northeastern India, the whole of India. So in every aspect, even in the agriculture, even in the, power sector, so we could have done much more better. And like I said, it all depends on the people. If they elect the right kind of government, the right kind of people, then so down the line for the past, for 5-6 years, so Meghalaya could be on the top positions.
There are so many issues that are plaguing the state, unresolved issues. But now I think we have to prioritize, let me put it, in this order. Today we have to challenge poverty. Poverty is on the rise in the state. Inequality is sharply rising in the state. There is a big divide between the rich and the poor. And Meghalaya is one of the poorest states in India in terms of per capita income.
All the leaders and all the political party should not play politics with the development. How you will see the development? The Chief Minister Development Scheme is supposed to be a development for the people of Meghalaya. But today, how they had made it? They had been distributing all the scheme through their candidates. Who are the candidates? They are candidates only, they are not MLA. If, for example, from any Nongthomai constituency, I'm just telling you, we have the TMC representing from their MLA or the Congress MLA. If you want to develop the state, what is wrong to go through the local representative? Why we have to politicize there, make political?
See, when so much talk about corruption, and now it's election time, every public meeting, every house meeting, every candidate will say, oh, well, I'm here to fight against corruption. But how? How? Tell me. So for us and for me, I have spelled out in my manifesto that to fight corruption, yes, there is already a law, an anti-corruption law, very strong law in Meghalaya, which I was also involved in bringing that law, the Lokayukta Act. And there's one more law that I will push. That is the Meghalaya Grievance Redress, Transparency and Accountability Bill. And then number 2, I also make a pledge that I shall be on a minimum wage until the government constitutes several welfare boards for workers of the state, especially unorganized workers like the domestic workers, the gig workers, our young people who ride rapidos, we should constitute a welfare board for them. And number 3, we will also push the Right to Health and the Right to Health Care Act. There is a very clear track record in the state of Meghalaya. Tell me, who had brought good laws in the state? Independent candidates. The land transfer regulation which I have just talked about was brought by an independent candidate, Professor Martin Narayan Majau. See, the question does not arise whether we have 2 or 3, but even if I'm alone, I will shake the assembly.
We are blessed with so much of natural resources. We have coal, we have lime, and we have so many natural resources in our state. I have been into various coal mining areas, and I have seen that there's so much of loopholes, there's so much of leakage of revenue. So if you can control all the leakages, if we can highlight and if we can review all the leakages of revenues and funds, so our state will be very much self-sufficient. We don't have to depend on the central government. We don't have to depend on anybody else. If we can curtail all this corruption, if we can curtail all these leakages of revenue, then definitely our state will be the self-sufficient state. We are doing quite well in tourism sector, but lacking behind in education sector, in health sector, power sector, in many sector. I must say that. So I think we are doing quite well only in tourism sector. Other than this, I don't think so. Though half of the populations are into farming in agriculture, but from the government side, we are not looking into it properly.
In terms of economy, there are 2 broad aspects which I would like to put forward. One is economic rights. Rights are rights. I have a right, you have a right, everyone has a right to work, to earn their livelihood, irrespective of your caste, your creed and your gender. And as an MLA, as a representative, if I'm elected, I will ensure that each resident, each citizen of the state have access of their right to work. And then there is another point of economic rights. You know, we have also done a survey, and we have spelled out in our manifesto how we improve, you know, the workings of, you know, ration shops, the PDS system, you know, which is very, very vital for the people. And you know, and in our, see now what happened in our state, PDS, they only gave rice. Only rice is given to the people of the state. Whereas before, I remember, through the PDS system, we also got oil, we also got atta, we also got sugar, you know, and then we also get dal, you know, so at least 5-6 items. Now, if I'm elected, I will work towards how to improve the PDS system so that basic, you know, food that are necessary for the people, they should be given, you know. And you know, in our survey that we done last few months, if every household in the state could get, you know, 4 or 5 items through the PDS system, like I've just mentioned now, they can save between 30 to 35,000 a year. Can you imagine? So that is economy for me. And also economy for me means that, you know, if people, when they return from work, they should not be, you know, be worried there are already food in the table. I mean, that is my simple understanding of economy. And then there is another aspect of our economy is with regards to the economic production. So, well, we are rich in mineral deposits, but how far can we go, you know, to extract, to exploit every natural resource that we have without caring for the environment?
You are talking about uranium. Talk about the coal, where it has been illegally mining the coal now and also transporting to the entire states, entire country. Even they are transporting outside the country. They are doing only for business. No, so thousand crores of coal are been transporting outside the states, outside the country, only for some high-level business people, which is supposed to collect the revenue from there, where we don't get single revenue, because all illegal coal transportation been taking place in the state of Meghalaya today. Who are suffering? This is all the revenue of the state of Meghalaya. We are not getting any revenue because all are illegal taking place, all are illegally is taking place. Where is the revenue that to develop the state of Meghalaya? Many things you talk about. The limestone you talk, the cattle smuggling you talk, all the revenue is gone to drain. All the revenue is going to drain because it has been doing business by the high level only.
We already have coal mining. We already have limestone being exported to Bangladesh and to other neighboring country. So like I said before, if you can tap all this revenue properly without any leakages from the department side as well as from the private individual, so we can if we can collect in a proper way without any corruption or without any leakage, I believe that the kind of amount which we get from the coal mining and from the other minerals, I think it's more than enough to run the states. So other than this, we are paying tax. Other than this, we are also contributing in various ways. The general public and the general people is also contributing in various ways. I think it should be self-sufficient. There's always pros and cons in uranium mining. So our state has seen many oppositions and many rally against this uranium mining. So we should consider all these facts, whether it will be benefited or whether it will affect the whole community. So development doesn't mean that we have to sacrifice the human mankind. If there's no scientific mining, if there's no foolproof mechanism which will be protected, so I don't think so that we should come up with uranium mining. If we cannot control the radiations and if we cannot say that it will be safe for the in and around where the mining will take place. So I'm not into it. I'm totally against the human destructions.
Exploitation is bad. Using it for the greater common good of the people. See, whatever we have, it should first benefit the people of the state. And for me, development means development to the last person. But as far as uranium is concerned, my individual self, me as a citizen of the state, I say a big no. So together with my colleagues also in Camp Meghalaya, it's very clear with us, we want a moratorium on uranium mining. And other mineral resources which had been exploited so far, and it had destroyed our environment and is destroying our environment. Even when we talk about coal mine, it's being, our environment is being destroyed. But also even it had not helped our economy. And I can tell you, based on the CAG report, which is the government's data, that from 2013, 14, 15, 17, 18, there was a huge loss of revenue amounting to about 300 crores of revenue was lost as per the government report. Why it was lost? It was lost due to under-reporting, under-assessment and non-realization of revenues.
We have seen our youths, frustrated youths, because of the unemployment. We are going to create the platform, not only the government job. As you know, the government job is completely saturated now. We need to create the platform by bringing the opportunity to our youths, those are educated and uneducated youths, the skilled youths, to be given the opportunity for employment. That is our goal today. We have a lot of scope to creating of the job in our states. If you go through promotions of tourism, there also we can create direct and indirect job to many of our youths. You talk about the health tourism. You talk about anything which is God has been blessed to our states. We have so many platforms to create the job opportunity to our youths.
I feel that the government should be more proactive in order to counter this unemployment. And no matter how hard we try, it's very hard to bring the long-lasting solution of unemployment. It's not only in our state, even in other states and even in other parts of the country. I must say that the government should come up with job-oriented courses. So, take for instance, many of our youngsters, many of our youth, some of them are very much disoriented. Some of them doesn't know where they are heading to. So they will take up any course, whether they are interested in it or not. Then gradually, after their graduations, they will just apply for any job. Any random job in MPSC or any TSC, and then if they're not selected, they will wait for another 5 years, 10 years. So likewise, it will go on. So I believe that we need more job-oriented courses. We live in a democracy country. We cannot stop anybody going for better avenues in other states. It's the choice of an individual. Suppose a person graduated from IIM and IITs. We may not have a required job opportunity in our state. So in order to get greener pastures, we need to move out to the other states. But those whoever wants to contribute to the state, those whoever wants the betterment of the state, obviously they will come back to our state and they will work in various capacities. So like I said, and again, it all depends on the government. If government can create more job opportunity, like private companies, like investors from other big companies, then I think the brand rent would not have occurred in our states.
If you look at the Center for Monitoring of Economy in India, unemployment in Meghalaya is very low. But my question is, what is the quality of work that our youth are getting? In India, as per the statistics, 90% of the workforce, they earn only below 25,000 a month. And if that is the case in India, it's also the same in Meghalaya. And recently from our platform, Come Meghalaya, we have done a survey that in Shillong, in the entire Shillong city, for a family of 4 to survive, just a little bit above the line of the poverty, a family needs to earn not less than 20,000 a month. But in my door-to-door campaign, I've met families. Out of 10 families that I've visited, around 4 to 5 families, they earn not even 15,000 a month. So how will they survive? And when it comes to unemployment, also again, in my door-to-door visit, out of 10 houses, 7 to 8 houses that I visited, their children, young people, 4 or 5 of them are just sitting at home without a job, or if they have a job, they work for 6 months, but because there is no quality work, no job security, so they work for 6 months and then they have to sit at home for another 3 months. It's uncertain in that sense. Yeah. Young people should not be dependent, and we can't no longer depend on government jobs, because why? Government sector can only generate, in my calculation, between 15 to not even 15% of jobs. So that is one. But also Shillong is blessed also with the fact that it was the capital of the erstwhile, during the British era. So many central establishments are here, central government establishments are in Shillong, and we also have to take advantage of that. At least grade 4 jobs should be given preference to our youth, to the youth of the state, But to create more employment, then we need more investment. To have more investment, we have to create an atmosphere where there's peace, security, and especially there should be justice, so that people will not be worried about investing their money in the state. Even in government jobs, we have to straighten the system, because I've been involved with for 5 years at a stretch, qualified grade 4 DSC, those who had passed the DSC examination within the East Coast Hills district. In 2011, their results were announced. But to get an appointment, they have to go on a hunger strike for 5 years. So, because why? There is a systemic failure in appointment in governments in the state of Meghalaya. So, even that small portion of government jobs which are still, hanging, we have to straighten the system. We have to correct the system.
Yeah, this obviously it will grow, but it has to be do and don'ts. We have to put the do and don'ts for the benefits of the people of our states. We should invite them, should welcome them to set up the industry here, to set up the kind of business here, where they can create also the job opportunity to our youths. Today we are suffering, the family are suffering, the individual are suffering, just because our youths are the jobless today.
See, India is considered to have a mixed economy where both private and public enterprise takes place. So, considering all the private sector, I believe that we will have a more stable economy. We will have a more innovative ideas if there is a competitions amongst the company or amongst the employees, then they can perform more efficiently. So I believe that it will create more avenues like employment opportunity, then physical infrastructure development. So the government should pave the way for the investors for the investment in our state.
Investment has to be encouraged. But first, to have more investment of the state in the state, we also have to create an atmosphere that people should not be worried about putting their money in the state. So that means law and order has to be in place, security has to be in place, but also we shouldn't be blindly accepting every type of development in the state. We also have to put a question, development at what cost? At the cost of our rivers, at the cost of our beautiful hills, at the cost of our the flora and fauna of the state. So development has to be in sync with the ecology.
We are lagging behind. What is demand power? We have deficits of doctors today also. If we want one super specialty doctor, it is very difficult to get in the state of Meghalaya. Many of them, they don't want to work with the government. They go only with the private sector, private hospital. So we need to give the facilities to our doctor where we can retain them and also work for the state of Meghalaya, for the betterment of the state and also for the betterment of the people of our states. See, we are not so much seriously about bringing the medical college. I really also telling you, during Dr. Mukul Sangma, when he was Chief Minister, he has brought 2 medical colleges. I appreciate that. But because in between us, too many politics among us, they don't want this medical college to come up. So this kind of politics we don't want to see and happen in the state of Meghalaya. Whoever doing, if the Congress bringing for the development, we have to appreciate and work with them. If the BJP is bringing development, we should appreciate and work with them. If any other political parties are initiating for development, we should appreciating them and also work with them for the general benefit of our people.
The government need to initiate this. Like I said, we need to set up sub-centers even in the power plant areas where people can go and do the regular checkup. So we need to come up with PHCs and sub-centers in various villages. Unless and until the government take this initiative, we are still in need of doctors in our state. So recently, the medical recruitment board, they have recruited many doctors, as around 400 doctors. But we need more to cater the needs of our people. I have been to many rural areas, plang areas, which does not have any healthcare facility. First of all, most of our rural folks, or most of our rural people, they hardly comes to the hospital. That's first thing. They hardly comes to the hospital for the regular checkup. And secondly, due to lack of connectivity, due to lack of road connectivity and unavailability of sub-centers and PHC, CHC in rural areas, so which makes them very difficult to come to the hospital for a regular checkup. In the year 2021, as a joint delegates, as all Garo Hills Joint Action Committee, we have been to Delhi to discuss about this with the Honorable Union Minister, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowalji. So we discussed to set up Ayush Medical College even in Garo Hills, so that we can tap this medicinal herb and we can use it and make it as a Ayurvedic tourism even in Garo Hills.
Myself and also Kam Meghalaya, we believe that health is a right. And we also want that the state should focus on certain diseases which are plaguing the state. We shouldn't forget about malaria. We shouldn't forget about other diseases which are still plaguing in the state. And we need to improve right from the primary health center. We have to provide good doctors, and also we have to provide good machines that are needed in the hospital. And also, you are right, when you look at the health indicators, our state looks like a very, very sick state. You have the maternal rate very high, which is about 167 per 1 lakh births, live births. And also you have the infant mortality rate, which is very high, and I've already mentioned about women, 50% are anemic. But yes, health sector has to be improved, and we have to improve and we have to enhance the capacity of our civil hospitals in every district within the state. And also we have to push for essential medicine. Despite the directive given by the authority that in our hospitals, especially government hospitals, that there should be generic medicines which can be distributed freely to the people. But Meghalaya love to buy branded medicines which they can sell at a higher rate. So, and also let us talk about health insurance. Well, now for the past so many years, Meghalaya health insurance is in place, but there are certain treatment which did not cover under the health insurance. And also the outpatient, MHIS does not cover outpatient expenses. So we have to look that outpatient expenses also has to be covered, and we have to increase the number of diseases that should be covered within the health insurances, and then also we have to increase the amount within the insurance. I am contesting in the constituency, from the constituency which falls under the East Kars Hills district, and East Kars Hills has the highest prevalence of cancer in the entire country. But there are no cancer wing or cancer clinic in the state which can deal with the rise of cancer in the district, you know.
What do you mean by indigenous populations? All are human beings. Every individual, every community, everybody are all human beings. We as a Meghalayan, we should grow together. That is my objective.
We belongs to scheduled tribe. Given enshrined by the Constitution of India, we are under sixth schedule. So we have different provisions. We have different Meghalaya Land Transfer Act. So I think we need to come up with concrete mechanisms so that it will not affect the local indigenous people, as well as any investors could come up here and invest for the welfare of the society. So it should be the win-win situations, not only for the profit-making generation, but for the beneficial of all the state and for all the youths as well. See, we are already under the sixth schedule and enshrined by the Constitution of India. We are already protected, provided we know how to use it wisely. Say, take an instance, take an example of district councils. Despite of having a district councils, despite of having a Meghalaya Land Transfer Act, we can see many outsiders and many people getting a land pata and lots of loopholes and corruptions. Even in the preview of sixth level, even in the preview of district council. So I believe that if you can use it wisely and if you are very careful in all these things, so we don't have to worry about the identity, we don't have to worry about the protections.
Let me be straightforward on this question. I think we are overprotected. Number one, thanks to our forefathers, our predecessors like Reverend J.J.M. Nichols-Roy and others, who had fought, head on, to the last in the Constituent Assembly, which resulted in having that now we have the sixth schedule, which protects our culture, our language, our forests, our rivers, but also still there is a debate which one is better, whether it's the instrument of accession or the sixth schedule. I mean, that is, in a different, in some other time we can debate about that. But yes, we have a protection under the sixth schedule of the Constitution of India. And then we have the land transfer regulation, which protects our land so that people from outside or who are not native to our state cannot buy even an inch of land. But sadly, this law is being diluted. Now it's toothless, I can say. And then we have reservations, almost 100% of reservation, 80% of reservation is a big amount. Of course, there's still a debate whether one community should get more and the other community should get less, but at least indigenous people within the state are being protected by these laws.
MRSSA and ILP, we'll discuss post-elections, which is the advantage, which is the merits and demerits of the state. We had to introduce that policy only for the benefits of the people of Meghalaya or for the benefit of the people of our states.
I don't think so it will affect the tourism sector because we already have in Nagaland, Arunachal and even in other states, ILP is already implemented, but it does not curtail the foolproof mechanism. So it does not curtail the foolproof mechanism to control infiltration and illegal migrants. So if you can come up with constructive mechanisms, so other than this ILP, so it could have been much more better. But considering the fact, for the time being, we don't, as a party or as an individual, we don't have any issue to set up ILP even in our state. I don't think so it will affect the tourism sector because even in Arunachal we can see many tourists coming from Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, from different states. So likewise, I mean, it will helps at some level, at some percentage, but I don't believe that it will be a foolproof mechanism to control the illegal migrants and infiltrations. We need to come up with something constructive mechanism.
There's no yes or no answer to ILP. So bear with me a bit. ILP was the product of the Eastern Bengal Frontier Regulation Act, which was passed in 1873. And Shillong became the capital of the Assam province of the erstwhile British Empire in 1874. So out of the 10 districts which the ILP was supposed to be implemented, only Shillong, only United Khasi and Jaintia Hills district was never implemented since 1873-74. And still, if you read L. Gilbert Sulai's book and his writing, he still put a question, and he leave it to the researchers as to why ILP was not implemented in the United Khasi and Jaintia Hills. I mean, students of history will still continue to research on this, which is very, very important also. In Garo Hills, it was implemented, but later on it was repealed. But when you talk about ILP, there is a section in the Eastern Frontier Bengal Regulation, which for me is the central, is the key. That is section 7, which talks about protection of land. And in that section 7, it says that people, British subjects who are not native to these districts, which the ILP was supposed to be implemented, cannot claim rights over land, nor they can claim rights of the produce of the land. So what is central to ILP is the protection of land. But in 1972, we already have a land law which protects us. Unfortunately, that land law is being diluted. And then when it comes to ILP, also matters with the movement of the people. Yes, I'm a tribal. I'm proud to be a tribal. I want that my land to be protected. This is my only, this is the only land that I have, that I belong to. And for me as a tribal, land is a temple, it nurtures me, it feeds me, and I identify myself with this land. And I also, people know me in other parts of the country as someone who belongs to this land. It has to be protected. Our culture, our identity, our language has to be protected 100%. But ILP also, people talks in terms of the movements of people. Yes, that also has to be regulated. For example, when you see people coming from outside, you feel the threat naturally. But the only simple way for that is to just implement, especially like the interstate migrant laborers law. That has to be implemented. The threat or the perception that people have that, oh, these people are coming from outside, they are taking away our jobs, or they are taking away our land. But you have also to look at the facts on the ground. Meghalaya is a labor deficit state. That we have to accept. For big projects and to create wealth in the state, you also need people to come from outside. But for that aspect, for that matter, we only need regulation. If we fear that laborers are coming in large numbers from outside the state, what we need to do is to implement strictly the interstate migrant labor law. And this law, what will happen if we implement this law? It not only protects us, it also protects the rights of the workers. So, these things can be worked out. So there is no yes or right a yes or no answer to ILP, but ILP was the issue which was taken up by the Khasi Students' Union 40 years ago. And let me remind the viewers that in 1987, I remember I was still in class 10 preparing for the matric exams. There were no schools. Schools were shut for several months because of the agitations spearheaded by the Khasi Students' Union, and one of the demands is about the implementation of the ILP. And then it was a Congress government under the chief ministership of Captain Williamson A. Sangma, and several others like Ripal Kindia was also one of the cabinet ministers who also was instrumental in bringing, who negotiated between the government and the Khasi Students' Union. And the government also had published a statement publicly that they were trying, to convince the center that ILP should be implemented, but still it has not been implemented. Even this government also, which boasted a lot that they are the only government, they are the only ones who took up this issue, which was wrong. Well, it was an issue. It is still an issue, and God knows in the months to come it will be an issue. But the ball is in the center, and who's ruling at the center, we know. But I only hope and pray that even if it still remain an issue, but in a democracy, everyone has a right to demand, but it should not be the cause. It should not be at the cost of people's lives.